Yo, it's ODB from OLP. This is issue 130 of Mini Truckin Magazine, October 2002 issue, rather. Rest in peace, Bruce Rivera. I do want to say, at the end of the last video, I forgot to tell you guys, up to that point, there were 39 Toyotas on the cover of Mini Truckin Magazine through issue 129. But let's jump into this issue. This truck is known as Downtime. More on that. This was the second of two covers for local minis. The first one was January 95. Of course, that had Seth's Isuzu issue number 37 along with Figment on the cover. Now, there's a few firsts here. It's the first issue credited to Joe Greeves, right? So photographer, long time, 50 plus years doing what he does as of this point. But this was his first credited Mini Truckin Magazine cover. That's for sure. Now, at the end of this video, if I remember, I'll tell you how many Isuzus have graced the cover up until this point. Of course, this is one of them. A super popular OEM brand, especially here in Florida. That's for sure. Now, here's another fact that might blow your mind. This was the first Mini Truckin cover truck with intro wheels, right? So kind of crazy, super popular wheel. Forget exactly what year they started, but pretty cool stuff there. A few other things I want to hit upon. RA Florida would go on to host a show called Downtime, and it ties into Bruce, so we'll hit upon that again. Rest in peace to Bruce Rivera. Mistay Teal Varady. I don't know how to say her name or pronounce her name correctly, but she is the model on the cover. The feature mentions Bruce's motorcycle accident. For those that didn't know, he was in a coma for a few days. Might have been even more than a week or so. And that's how the show Blood Drag started. My understanding is the name Blood Drag for sure, because they had to raise blood. I don't know if that, if the show was already planned with Eddie doing it, but it ties back into Bruce Rivera right here. So enough with that. Let's jump in. You basically have an audio type message here, if I can talk, with the insert shot. That's what I was trying to say. So you've got audio kind of listed up here. And when you look at this, based upon the art, you'd say, hey, wow, it's a beach. It's technically not at a beach. But that's the power of not movies, but magazines. Okay, again, a lot to get through. Appreciate all the support. I got back into knocking these out recently with issue 129, and I want to just get through as many of these as I can to kind of wrap up this project. But the crazy thing is, we're only halfway through. A lot more to go. For here, you have Lance Scrubline. For those about to rail, he kind of intros here with, whether you're working in your garage or railing your truck, big salute to you, which is the cool thing even to today. People are still hustling on the rides, whether you have a shop build it or you do it yourself. Here's Sprayed and Laid, really nice S10. Faux show on the front plate. You've got, again, which I've talked about in the past, the era of painted dashes, again, still very popular. This was Joel Stevenson's 99 S10. Still a very popular mod. And this one had a lot of paint work done to it. If you like what we're doing here, check out OLP via any podcast app. Also, if you subscribe to my Substack, which is free, you can download the Substack app or search ODB's Life on Google. So the word Substack, ODB's Life. You'll see my Substack. You can subscribe to it. It's free, and I'll be writing more about Mini Truckin Magazine and other stuff that interests me. What's up? So for those youngins out there, Circuit City was, you think about like Best Buy. There was basically Best Buy and Circuit City. I think Circuit City was technically around first. We used to buy CDs there. They had home audio, of course, car audio as well. during kind of the car audio revolution. Here you've got Easy Street. This was a thing when they were really pushing different things, but including the belt-driven compressors, which is kind of still a small market. When we would have Morgan on in the past, when she worked at Vair, she talked about Vair having such a huge thumbprint in the scene in terms of the market share. It's probably 95+% easily. You've got a little bit of stuff out there with like belt-driven compressors, with nitrogen, which isn't ran as much. Although I know a guy in the Lincoln world, he's running nitrogen on his Lincoln, old mini trucker. But pretty cool to see some of the other ads back 20 years ago. Again, this is October 2002, issue 130. A lot to talk about with this issue, but here is spring California Truck Jamboree. So this would have been the 10th annual. It started in 92. This would have been May of 2002. 93, I think it is. It gets confusing because you'd think 92 to 02 would be 10, but it's actually 11, I think. So I think the spring show started in 93. I always have to check my notes. We just saw this truck on the cover, probably where they linked up, maybe, and shot it right after the show, possibly. And again, with the lead time that it took, they could have fast-tracked that truck, or maybe they shot it right before. If you guys happen to know, it's always cool to kind of add that story to the database. Or if you have any behind-the-scenes photos of the features or cover shoots, I'd love for you guys to email them to our lifestylepodcast@gmail.com. Stop Thief. So in the era of alarms, again, the cover truck that we saw recently, Captain's amazing Yoda, the Vair ad. That was the key thing. All of the stats. How long does it take to fill the tank? Trying to be as efficient as I can with these. I know some of them are longer. The last one was pretty efficient. So we're kind of moving right along here. Spring Fling 02. We went to this show a few years in a row. Always had a blast. It's kind of like driving to a whole nother state if you live in the middle or central Florida, driving up to the Panhandle. But always had a good time. In fact, I have some cruising footage going to one of the shows, one of the years. If you check out our YouTube channel and look up Spring Fling, probably 2001-ish. Good times. Here's the Breezer ad. The beautiful... I always wondered if she was like a friend or the wife of the owner or what, but she was the long time, probably still is, the Breezer. I call her the Breezer window model. What better way to model the Breezer than having a chick hanging out of it there? All right, so a couple more things here. So Downtime, grooving back from the dead. Again, an eerie title now. Obviously, if you were to read this feature, and again, you could bump this to 4K, he talks about, Lance does. Lance writes the story, you can see there. Lance mentions, due to an unexpected injury, he, had broadsided, I believe, on a motorcycle, an F-150, and, talked about being in a coma that you could see there for 2 weeks. I thought it was a couple of days, but it definitely was a few weeks according to this. And he was pretty banged up, and the story right there goes on to say that he had acquired this truck back from a deal gone bad. So the story goes, my understanding was, when I went through this feature, I had scratched my head because if you recall, this truck had the etching on the windshield, and it looked totally different, kind of a greenish color, kind of almost like a Hawaiian type theme, I guess I would kind of say, kind of beach Hawaiian theme. That truck, though, when I went through the feature, I scratched my head because it didn't say Bruce. My understanding, going from recollection, it was built. He had acquired it. They started building it, maybe sold it, whatever. And then, long story short, he gets this truck back, finishes it between his injury, blood drag starts, because of the blood donations needed. And he goes on to pass away down the road, and Downtime was then created in Bruce's honor. So a lot going on there, a lot to kind of digest, but just know this truck right here, intro wheels, etched in many of our minds. Now, I do want to show you guys this really quick here, kind of off camera. That was Bruce, and in the upper right corner, that is his friend, John. So John Turner, who has You Ain't Low Trucks. He has Trucks and Cheeseburgers, longtime local minis member as well. He's, of course, an RA. And then you can see this was a little, I think I've saved that in the past. I reposted it. But you can see right there, there's the feature. There's Bruce, upper left, rest in peace, and in memory of 3474 to 71007. So there you go. Shout out to any of his friends and family, but rest in peace to Bruce. Very cool truck. Again, first truck with intro wheels on the cover for a cover truck, so to speak. Joe Greeves, long time contributor to this scene of ours. This thing's got hydros like some of the local minis guys would run. You can see here again that plate downtime, one of the unique things. I think Bob and those guys did all the body work and the fabrication, but, you know, very cool to see that the plate kind of over into this area from the tailgate. Super sick truck. Still around. There's a guy, I want to say Nathan, that just popped in my head. He owns a few trucks that are former awesome trucks. I think he might even own, now that I thought about it, he might even own Big John Turner, who I just showed his old full size. I'd have to go back and look, but this truck's, again, really one that was awesome. I got a chance to see it in person, of course, here in Tampa. You can see full interior all done. That awesome color tweed. The crawl through here with the stereo. Super clean engine bay. Mistay Teal Varady, Palm Beach. I can't remember how she knew. It seems like I saw her at a show. I don't know if she was the wife of someone or they just knew her. But the one thing I'll point back to that I didn't mention here in the little TOC, they would always take a little kind of jab or joke at different folks. And Joe Greeves, the OG, it says, photo credits go to Joe, quote, "I finally got a killer model for you guys, Greeves." So, you know, it could have been in the past that he may have had feature trucks or cover trucks, and, you know, in this era, which Lance actually writes about it in his editorial, you know, talks about, you know, the drive that they've had to have a model on every cover. I know some people would, especially I guess in this era, would maybe say, why? Well, bottom line is, I'll tell you this. I mean, I don't have the data, unfortunately. I didn't work there, but it would help drive the sales of the magazine. You can imagine there's a certain demographic for this publication, and, you know, an 18 to, you know, 34-year-old or whatever that age demographic was, you know, they see a hot chick on the cover and more likely to buy it, I guess. A Taco Fell. So again, I've said this before, I could, you know, you could write a book on the different cool names of the tacos and the whole spin of Tacoma. But this one was Trevor's. He's still around up in the North Dakota area. Trevor Anderson, 96 Tacoma. Again, I can't rattle the names off of all of these. Taco Supreme, Hot Taco, Taco this, but I love all of the variations. The Laughlin Motorsports Expo, back to the grind there. Here you've got the truck that was in all of the ads for Street Scene? Different ads and whatnot. You can see the Laughlin show there. This famous truck. Took another sip of the potion. Hit the three-wheel motion, the reverse three-wheel. Spank you very much. So Finnegan talks about, you know, thanks to the enthusiasts, which is still something that resonates to today. You got paper cut, so the different various write-ins. Here is Scott Van's 86.5 Nissan extended cab, but technically king cab. This thing was nuts. I always remember seeing this in the magazine. People were always trying to come up with different things, and there you go. The pop-up gauges in the middle of the dash. It's kind of crazy. You see that kind of stuff now, I think, from OEMs now. You know, with the head units raising up and just different stuff. Not necessarily the gauges, but it's crazy to see how far things have come in the automotive world and how expensive things have gotten as far as new cars. This was Clark Dufresne's 92 Isuzu. Again, Isuzu's one of the most popular mini truck ever, arguably. This one's on Colorado Custom Alamosa wheels, one of my favorite wheels. The Playa, love the game. I love that title. Mike Finnegan wrote this one. And I always remember this one from Louisiana. I think I saw it at Lake Charles, Lakefront Tour. Got the Louisiana plate here. But these things always look great when the tailgates were welded shut and you got the body line that just flows nicely through there. A regular cab Isuzu. I like the space cabs a lot too, but the regular cabs are just awesome. You can see different seats in it. Again, if you like what we're doing here, leave a comment. It certainly helps us out, even if it's just an emoji thumbs up. To all the people that continue to do it, like Frank, we appreciate you, man. A lot of good people out there, RC Media. So many others that do it every time, but we really appreciate you guys. We're going to try to keep getting through these. This one's a little longer than last, but I'm going to try to keep them as efficient as possible. That way, again, you guys, the main reason for doing this is you can refer back. You know, oftentimes someone's like, hey, I think I remember such and such year and possibly such and such month. You know, you can kind of scrub through these pretty quick now. Again, if you look in the description, there's a link to our website if you want to buy merch. And the other key thing is, if you look at the description, you will see that every feature, pretty much I've taken all of the data and information that I cover in the video, I go back and type it up, and I paste it all into the comments. And that's how we get all of the information. So every feature is listed there. All of the stuff is listed there. So I'm going to try not to forget this time. Isuzus, there ended up being, any guess? Lucky number 13. There ended up being 13 Isuzus on the cover. Certainly not the number one OEM for the 269 issues, but nonetheless, a super popular truck. So this is one of 13 Isuzus that will grace the cover. Again, rest in peace, Bruce Rivera. His legacy still lives on, and his contributions to the scene. The truck still is in existence. But if you think back to the wording or the naming Blood Drag, and you think back to Downtime, although RA Florida has hosted a couple of different shows, including Downtime, Farm Fest, and I know their latest was Relaxing on the Ranch. Certainly, his legacy, like I said, lives on. Rest in peace, Bruce Rivera. Anybody that knew him, he built an awesome truck, and he did a lot of cool stuff. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. We'll flash it now. We at ya. I think that's it. Peace.